Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the L.A.M.E Book Club podcast. My name is Melissa.
I'm Ellie.
And this week, everyone, it is the final installment of our deep dive of Onyx Storm. We're going to be going over chapters 61 through 66. So just 5. But man, and I said this last time, if we could quite literally do an episode on each chapter by itself.
Oh my gosh.
Buckle up. It is going to be a good one. But
Holy
before
moly.
we do...
This is so bittersweet.
It is. Before we get too far into this, we thank you everyone who follows us on social media. If you don't follow us, it's at L.A.M.E Book Club Pod on everything. Subscribe on YouTube. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you have an iOS device. Speaking of which, we do have a review of the week. This comes from Chutney San. Thank you. It's BEST Book Club Podcast. 5 stars. Listen, y'all, I love theorizing while I read, but my book friends have made me stop talking to them about my theories because of how many things I've, quote, spoiled. I love this because this is our friend Taylor. She is like stupid good at figuring out what comes next, and I literally have told her, don't talk to me until I finish. I don't care if you're done or not. I need to finish because you're going to somehow guess everything, and it's going to be less exciting for me when I read it. So now Mondays, I get to put on that tin hat with you guys and make all the theories. So thank you both for doing the work to make this podcast happen because I needed to find my people. Thank you, Chutney San.
Chutney San.
That's the point. Thank you. We love putting our tin hats on too and theorizing. So
almost
welcome
to all of
sometimes. Our tin.
I think I'm crazy, actually.
I think
I'm
losing
away
it.
From this, like,
my eye twitches.
I think I'm a conspiracy theorist. Anyways, guys, we do have merch, stickers and totes. If you're part of our Patreon, you get 15% off, but you can find those at lamebookclubpod.com. And if you join our Patreon, we are going through the Caraval series. We're on the last book finale. We just recorded our episode before this, and it was so fun. There's so many tangents. If you enjoy our banter, there's a lot more of that. We laugh more at ourselves. It's a great time. And we do have a Patreon shout out. Welcome to Haley. And give us our spoiler warning.
All right, you guys. Spoiler warning is going to be a little different this week because guess what? We're finishing the book. So, spoiler warning for all 3 Imperium books. Nothing is off the table. Everything is going to be included. So, if you have not finished, you have been warned. But I hope you have with us so that we can all enjoy and talk together.
Oh my gosh. When you said that, I'm serious. Like, it's the most bittersweet feeling because I've spent hours upon hours on these outlines and theories and combing through the internet and all that. And we're still going to have an Onyx Storm purely theories only episode with that crazy friend Taylor. She's got tons on the docket as well, but it's so sad to finish this deep dive.
I know. It is. It really is. But at the same time, isn't it lovely?
Isn't it lovely? It's lovely to change. It's lovely to move on. We're doing more. And we're going to tell you what book we're doing next at the very end of this episode. So stick around to start us off today. Are you ready to deep dive?
I'm so ready to deep dive. Give me the theories.
I will. But I will not give you the Onyx Storm theories to start because we are going to deep dive with a follow-up from last week when we talked about the Snow White remake.
Naturally.
Anna Dot on Instagram sent me this little tidbit, and it actually blew my mind. So, she said they made the original Snow White in the late 1930s, and after a number of years, all the movies move into the public domain area. So to renew the copyrights, they have to do remakes of the films, and this is partly why Disney keeps like insisting on remaking old movies that nobody asked for. And I was like, that makes all the sense in the world. And I don't hate that. But like, I'm also like, is that true?
Well, it must be because that is the only logical explanation for like why I can understand there being so many Disney or Snow White spin-offs or remakes
because they might have.
I was going to say, I don't think all of the Snow White remakes that we've seen have been Disney, have they? I don't think the Kristen Stewart one was it?
I don't think so. Was Mirror Mirror Disney?
I don't know why I'm even having you ask me. I don't know who creates any of them. Some of them feel dark. They don't feel like Disney. And so I guess to some degree, there's elements of like the plot that you can't copyright, that anyone's going to be able to like, take the concept and make it into something different. But like Snow White and the Huntsman, like, that's the one with Kristen Stewart, right?
Fairy tales kind of are free game because there's tons of like remakes and like spin-offs of those books. So maybe Snow White falls into that. I'm just going to end with this. I'm very uneducated in this topic, and I honestly don't personally care to really look it up. So I'll just share it like gossip, and I'm going to spread it like all fire. And that is a Sunrise on the Reaping nod for all you Hunger Games besties. But
love it.
That's all I've got.
I like it. I think that makes sense to me. And if that's not the reason that they keep doing it, they should lie through their teeth and say that it is as well, because there's no logical explanation for why they keep doing it.
Amen. Well, with that being said, now
wait.
We can jump in.
While we're still on this, again, I don't know how true this is. I just saw on the internet, but another tragedy that has come out from this stupid remake of Snow White. I saw this on, I want to say, Threads, could have been something else, but apparently they've halted the production of the Rapunzel live action because of how terribly the Snow White one did in the box office. And I'm like, don't punish a good thing because you guys made a bad choice and everyone knew it was going to be a bad choice. I want this Rapunzel remake of live action. Well, Tangled is one of my favorite animated movies.
Me too. I'm curious, like, they have the know-how. Surely this has to be the case where they like have to just keep getting the domain or like renewing the copyright, because just do like a general census. Do we want Snow White? Guarantee 10 out of 10 people would be like, no, I'm good.
I just think they didn't do that before they decided to put 250 milli into that one.
That's crazy. I simply would just ask my friends, do you think so? And you would have enough sense to be like, don't do that.
I just want to throw this out there. Hypothetically, if we made a 18th Snow White, what are your thoughts on that one?
What are your thoughts?
And how would you feel if we made her look like Lord Farquaad? Just gauging the room here.
and the room was like, yeah, and so they did it, I guess. Well,
wrong room.
Now that this is out on the table, let's talk Onyx Storm.
Excellent.
So fair warning, we can't pregame too much because there's simply so much we need to talk about. So the only thing we can do is just start. Here we go. Chapter 61.
All right, let's do it.
We leave off with Violet fighting Theophanie, telling her that she doesn't have to be everywhere because when push comes to shove, according to Violet, she's not the best of them. Rhiannon is. Cut to.
Well, no, all she said was she is. And then
cut to. We're in Rhiannon's POV.
I simply could not handle this. I loved it because well, I did not see this coming at all, because this is now almost the end of the third book in this supposedly 5-book series. And we have gotten maybe a couple of real chapters and a couple of bonus chapters from Xaden's POV, but that's it. Everything else has been Violet. So color me shocked when we, in the middle of this book, we got none other than someone else's POV. Shocked and amazed, like I said. Did not see that coming at all, and I was so excited about it.
Well, water or ice meet fire, because I had the exact opposite reaction.
Really?
As excited as I just said, we're in Rhiannon's POV, hot take, I did not care for this chapter at all. And like, I actually don't know why, because I love Rhiannon, but it perhaps was because I simply just didn't feel like this chapter revealed any secrets. It didn't further any plot. It was just, as Jermaine Clement says, war. Boring, boring war. You remember in Dinner for Schmucks? When he's like,
my gosh, I
there's
love that
just
movie.
Sex and death. Boring, boring death. That's how I felt about this.
Okay. I think what made this chapter for me, though, is getting hearing not her perspective, but the communication between her and her dragon. Yeah. I love learning more about the other dragon. So that is why I liked this chapter so much. Quite honestly, I didn't really care, not to sound rude, I didn't care that much about what Rhi was saying or how this went from her point of view. It actually felt pretty random for me if we're just talking from that. But I loved hearing how vicious and cutthroat her dragon was. And that was just so fun for me, was getting the dragon, hearing her dragon, hearing them communicate, getting more of the dragon personality and everything.
That just makes me think, though, and maybe this is another hot take, Feargy and Glade, Imogen's dragon, because we're going to get her POV next.
Yeah.
They were both, and Taryn and Sigale, they all are just very snarky with their riders. Like, you're lucky I even let you ride me. Let's go.
Yeah.
But then there's this deep, like, secret love that they have for each other. I'm kind of like, I would love to have seen a bond where the dragon is like, I love you so much, no matter what. I'll like almost like not a simp for their rider, but just like, but she's still a little snarky too.
She's
like
sassy.
They all have this sarcastic, sassy personality. I would love to see a completely 180. Like, no matter what, I am here for you. I'm not snarky. I'm not sarcastic. I'm just devoted. Like a dog with its, not to say dragons are dogs again, but like a dog with its owner. Like, just, we are so in love. You know.
See, I just think that's how they say it. I think really though, for the most part, Andarna's only snarky with Taryn. Like, yeah, she's made snide comments to Violet when she's in, like, a mood. But for the most part, she's only like that towards Taryn. And she's really she's actually fairly affectionate with Violet. Especially, I'm doubling down on that. Now that we are getting more, like, every time Sigale is just, like, Sigale. Glade and Fergie Fierge or whatever are, like, both kind of same thing. Like, get on my back or I'm leaving you. Like, kind of just very intense is a good way to like describe them. Andarna is not like that with Violet at all. She's maybe like sarcastic, but like that's pretty much it. So
that's true. Well, my opinion
aside, say you have your golden retriever dragon already. Literally golden.
And she's golden.
Was at one point.
Was golden. So my opinions aside, Rhiannon fights tooth and nail to keep her mind focused on the task at hand while keeping her squad alive. We get some serious side banter from Fierge, showing the bond between her and Rhiannon. Very cute, very sarcastic, like we said.
Yes.
From Rhiannon's eyes, in the midst of battle, we see Riddick utilizing his honed ice-wielding signet and literally crack a wyvern in half.
That was wild.
That was crazy. That
was
made this
so
chapter
crazy.
worth it to me. I was like, that's so cool. But then I don't know, I might have liked to see Riddick's POV, but it's okay. I'll take what I can get.
I'm sure we'll get it at some point. This isn't really a spoiler, I don't think, because it's one, I don't know what's going to happen. I unfortunately have not read the next two books since they don't exist yet. But I read, in preparation for this episode, I read an interview that Rebecca did with I can't remember what the name of the website is now. It's like Empyrean World or EmpyreanWriters.com or something. And she made an offhanded comment, and I hope that this wasn't her like misleading us or something, but she made a comment about Riddick's growth over the next couple books. So one, that confirms to me that he doesn't die, but knowing that he's going to be a big part of the next, like the rest of the story, I guarantee if we've gotten Rhee's POV and then now we get Imogen's too, I bet that we'll get his at some point, and that is a chapter I am excited for.
Well, we'll get into that a little bit more later as well. So Rhiannon is fearless and headstrong. She's confident and truly a born leader, and I think that's what we can take away from this chapter. She was made to do this. Love to see it, but as impressive as she is, 7 wyverns still get through their line. Kat, Marin, Bragan, and Neve kill 3 off, but 4 still make it to the civilians, leaving Rhiannon to quickly plan their next move. And that leads us to chapter 62. So this header was something. It says, "There's no goddess more wrathful than Dune." Shivers my timbers, I'll tell you that.
Sure does.
Sure does. We're back in Violet's POV, and she is mid-fight with Theophanie, who has her in a chokehold, knife to her throat. Violet says the spellbinding words, "My friends will keep fighting long after I'm gone, and I'll meet Malik with my soul intact, so do your worst." Which throws Theophanie throws her off enough to lift the knife a few inches.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
were you with me?
Mark? Yes.
Yeah. I was like, I love this book, love the author, love Rebecca. Becky, you're my girl. But I don't know about this scene because like
I think I took that to be like I think she underestimated how stubborn Violet is, and that's kind of the way I understood this, was like even after, like, she is literally I'm about to die in the same way that Theophanie tried to kill Mira. Like, knife to the throat. Like, she has no more cards to put on the table.
Yeah.
This is it for Violet. And even in that moment, she's still saying, "I will meet Malik with my soul intact." Like, there's my life is not tempting enough for me to do what you want me to do, essentially. And so the way I read this was kind of like, she's like, really? And like almost like, really, like you just kind of like move it to, I don't think it was written in the book, but I literally pictured it, her holding the knife, like standing directly behind Violet, but then almost kind of like shifting around her to see her face. Like, are you serious? Like, you have, I am holding all the cards here and you're still like not, but like in doing that, her hand moved a little. That's the way I like understood this, but I do agree with you. I was kind of like, well, how convenient that the knife moves right now.
Yeah, I do totally see what you're saying, though. That makes more sense to me. I'm on board. All right, forgiven. I'm on board. Violet then slams her forehead into Theophanie's nose. Reeling, Theophanie says,
"Oh wait,
you think yeah."
That means that they were facing each other, because if she slams her forehead into Theophanie's
I'm just
nose...
gonna ignore it. I'm gonna ignore it and still go with what you said. That makes more sense to me. Theophanie says, "You think I won't do it? Take your life," and pulls out a green-tipped dagger. And I'll tell you what, the extra adjectives make my conspiratorial ears perk right up. But no Easter eggs. None. This dagger is green because it's tipped with poison. That's all we need to know.
Yeah, because that was a callback to Fourth Wing when she got stabbed with it already. And she even makes a comment. She's like, "Ugh, not again. I know what that feels like. No, thank you."
Yes. And I'm actually so glad you brought that up because
Are you
on
Canadian?
That note,
brought that up?
Yeah. I think I am today. We had a friend send in a theory this past week that had to do with this exact poison. So this comes from Anna Dot again. She says, Violet is stabbed and Brennan mends her, and he mentions that the poison reached her brain. And then we never hear about this again. Could it be that the venom have infected her with something that activates later on? And is this why she's been feeling dizzy this whole book? Not pregnant, a dormant poison.
I mean,
anything's possible.
I have to think about this more than just my initial reaction. I'm leaning towards Rebecca pulling something like that out more than a pregnancy trope 100%. Mm-hmm. I think would be curious to know what that dormant thing would be. And if they knew that it was there, is it honestly maybe even something that they're worried about? And is it part of the reason why they want her so badly, because they don't want whatever's dormant to... I really think her being dizzy has more to do with Dune playing a role in this and her partial dedication and whatever that might turn into. I think it's more of the connection or one that's forming. I don't have any evidence for that other than my gut feeling and my tin hat, but I like that because this is a callback to that. I like the idea of this being another, like, something like dormant in her that was planted in book 1 that we were going to find out in book 5 or something. Like, that'd be pretty cool.
Could be. I like the idea that it could be like Dune's bond forming or something happening there. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. So Violet makes a daring move next and basically tells Theophanie she can't kill her because she needs Violet's power now in this current moment in order to prove herself. And Theophanie says, that meant a lot more when you had your Irid. Now, we talked about this in the last episode, but we kind of chalked it up to like Theophanie was just twisting the knife when she said, "Oh, you're here without your Irid. How inconvenient." But now,
guerrilla
because of this
warfare,
comment,
if I remember correctly, is
yes,
what
that is what you said. But now with this comment, I'm thinking it's more intentional. I think she wants Andarna, but
absolutely.
For what? Now we know they don't hold the cure. Maybe they do, and we just don't know it still. But for what?
There's still so much surrounding the Irids and the fact that they like are magic, like the fact that their magic probably is separate from the rest of their dragons, and just so much mystery surrounding them, because at one point Andarna was able to burn some of them, but not all of them, we know now, and it possibly has to do with rank. But I just think there's so much. Agreed 100% it's her. I just think there's so much unknown about the Irids. It's hard to even, for me at least, it's hard to even theorize on what it could be, because it's like, well, I could come up with 20 theories, because we don't, like, but we'd have to be assuming a lot to
But you're
in
just
all of
shooting in the
those.
dark because, we don't have anything else to really back it up. Maybe you guys do. Maybe you caught something we missed. Let us know if you have any thought on why
Very likely
Theophany wants Indarna specifically, or the Irids. So it is very likely. Unfortunately, it is very likely. Xaden checks in at that point, and Violet is determined to stay focused. So she's like, get out of my head. Theophany tracks what's happening, though, and asks Violet if she doesn't want to have forever with Xaden. Violet says, like, I already do. And Theophany says, not in the way you want. We're excellent actors. Our kind doesn't feel what you call love. Melissa, look me in the eyes. What if Xaden was pretending this whole time? No, right? Like, that's impossible?
No. Well, so here's what I think. I don't think he was pretending. I think he remembers what it felt like to be in love with her. But I think that feeling, the more he channels, that feeling is slipping away more and more. So he's trying really hard to do what he can to still feel that and act like that.
I wish we understood the
Ellie,
ranks better.
I swear on everything. I'm sorry. I swear on everything. If this turns out to be an SJM riddle where the cure is love, I'm gonna throw every book in the series across the room. It has got to be more than love. Cannot be it. But I say there's enough evidence in this book for me to be worried, because talking about the lack of feeling, and like even this comment that Theophany has made where our kind doesn't feel like, so if all it takes is him feeling to break the, like, I am going to lose my mind. This
surely
cannot be another book where love is the answer. There has got to be more.
Don't worry. I don't think so.
I don't think
and
so.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
I really don't think that's what it's going to be either. I just think there have been enough offhanded comments in this book alone about how he doesn't feel anything and he can't love her. And now Theophany is just really like digging that in, like for me to be like, it's not off the table for that to be a possibility.
That's not at
and
all
I'm mad
what I
about
thought,
it.
But now I kind of am thinking that. No, I'm not. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there because that's too easy, and we're not going to read 5 books for it to be love, and that's simply not the answer. That's all we're saying. But now that Theophany, I rebuke it. Now that Theophany has gotten Violet's attention, she asks her if she knows how to keep from being drained, then slowly starts to drain the land that Violet is standing on, or it's like creeping up to her. Theophany instructs Violet to drain the land herself, because if she does so before Theophany gets there, she'll live. And I was like, oh, a little clue into life as a venin. Welcome to my life.
I guess if she is the one to drain the area, then she's safe. But if someone else is draining the area, then that would allow them to drain her too? Question mark. That's kind of how I
something like that. But Violet then has the idea to use a barrier that can have its magic repurposed. She climbs on the nearest wyvern carcass. Sure enough, it works. And here I am.
You're underestimating. She didn't just climb. She had to like run, jump, leap, and do like a triple backflip to get on this wyvern in time.
I did leave out some verbs. True. But okay, I'm sitting here wondering, like, did we just do it? Did we figure out how we can defeat them officially? Can we
just
carry
need dead
around
wyvern carcasses everywhere?
No, I was like, can we just cut off a piece, carry around a little piece of flesh as a stool, adapt our lifestyles?
No.
We've got them. They can't drain us if we're standing on this.
Got him.
Get him.
What a terrible life, but a life nonetheless.
A life worth living, if you ask me. Suddenly,
I don't know if it's worth living, but at least you're living, you know?
You're living on a stool. Living on a prayer. Suddenly, claws grip Violet, and Tarn is here. Except it's not Tarn. It's Sigale, who then drops her onto Tarn. What a move. I was just why?
I know. I liked that we got some of Sigale in this, because she's been so absent this whole book. But it took me a minute. I did have to reread this part because I'm like, okay, wait, Sigale had her, but then Taryn had her, but then Sigale did like a triple corkscrew and hold on, we're back with Sigale. No, she's still on Taryn. It just took me a second to realize where she was.
It was a second. It was a little tricky maneuver for me, yeah.
But it did make sense. It just took me a minute. I just had to read it twice.
And I was like, ridiculous to write this in, but perhaps we needed word count. No, I'm being so rude because before
No, I
Sigale
liked
drops
it.
Violet, Sigale was obviously not with Xaden, and Violet was like, "No, you can't be with me." And she's like, "I'm not going to be with you. I'm dropping you." So, but that I think is the first question for us readers to catch on to. Where is Xaden? Where is Xaden?
It's okay.
We thought he
find
was
out.
fighting.
We find out. So,
well, Taryn gives Violet the 411 on Teeny, Mira, Brennan, and they're all safe and they're all fine. But Theophanie is gone. And Taryn sees her with his crazy eyes, and she is with a line of 11 venin on wyverns. And Theophanie's wyvern is bigger than Kodak. That's crazy. I think we talked about this in our little bonus episode, but I thought that the wyverns were significantly smaller than dragons, so this was nuts to hear.
Yeah, and I said this on our bonus episode on Patreon as well, so if you've listened to both, bear with me. But the one frame of reference that comes to my mind is House of Dragon, because they did not do their research and all of their dragons are actually wyverns. Mm-hmm. And the way, and all, I know that all of this is creative interpretation. Like, I recognize that it's not like hard truth that dragons are always bigger than wyvern, and Rebecca was wrong in writing this. Like, it's creative liberties for sure, but in the Empyrean books, the wyvern are huge. They're not tiny. Like, they're not like little itty bitty things like in between a griffin and a dragon. Like, I do think that it obviously they vary in size, but for the most part, they're pretty big and pretty fast. But the wyvern, the quote unquote dragons, actually wyvern from House of Dragon, the creative liberties that they took, they made them look so sleek and almost essentially like lizards with wings. Yeah. And so I do have a hard time because I know what they're like how Rebecca describes them versus my only visual reference in my mind, which is House of Dragon. I picture them looking a lot like giant whale sharks. And I hope I'm not alone in this. They look so stupid in my head. And I know that. But like, I'm like, well, whale sharks are kind of gray. They're usually speckled, but you know, there's Melissa's creative liberties in there. But I'm like, they're big and bulky, and that's how I'm trying to picture the wyvern. I think I'm overcompensating.
I think that I actually don't think you're wrong. And yes, wrong on the whale shark portion, but not wrong on the big and bulky. I am nearly positive now that if that's the image you're getting, that we were fed some kind of like some lines in these books to make us think that they were bulky and big and like chunky, and because that's how I'm picturing it. I picture them like hippos with wings in the sky, like just big fatty beings. So
I'm like, whale sharks with wings is what I was giving. And so when it said a wyvern bigger than Coda, I'm like, oh man, that's a fat whale shark. Like that's what I
was like, what a fat beast. Yes. That's so crazy. There had to have been lines that we both were like, yeah, that's what it is. I'm going to
try and like chat GBT a whale shark with wings, and to like, if I can get if it can come up with what I'm picturing, we'll post it on our Instagram. No promises, because I don't know how I'm going to be able to describe this. But I just want everyone to like see what I'm seeing, because I'm like, this doesn't look foreboding at all. Like, just these because I mean, whale sharks are like their mouths are just long and skinny, and I'm just picturing these like kind of like, that's kind of the faces that they give as they're flying in. And I know that they're supposed to be like terrifying and sharp teeth, but like, I would not be scared if what I'm picturing was flying towards me, and it's my fault, but that's just where I'm at.
Yeah, well, turns out that is not in fact what a wyvern is, and we have been learned today. So Violet sees her squad and some griffins in formation getting ready to fight, but also Bodhi is there. And last we saw him, Kier plucked him off the ground to take him back to safety. And then Taryn's like, well, we all make our own decisions. Comments, concerns, cuss words about this?
Well, his decision is to be near Violet. That's the only thing I can think of, since now I'm convinced he's in love with her. So
yeah,
that's your comment. He's made his decisions.
I just felt weird about the interaction, but yeah, maybe it's just that he wants to be in Violet's vicinity. I don't know.
Trying to protect her.
Violet and Taryn race toward the action, and Violet shoots like 40 bolts in the meantime, taking out tons of Wyvern. When they catch up to the horde, Theophanie has started another tornado, but there is some good news in the midst of this chaos, because Molvic is back. Arik brought the advance party from Zelna. That's the one.
Yep. There it is.
Zelna. the Isle of Zinel. Violet again asks, where's Xaden? And this is the second time.
Yep.
We need to really... Where is he?
Honestly, that was the least of my... I know I should care more about it, but when reading this, I was so much more focused on Molvic being back and Arik, and I'm wanting her to ask him questions.
Yeah.
Instead, than I was even a little bit concerned with where Xaden was. Because as far as I know, Taryn... If something was happening to Xaden, if Xaden were really in trouble, Sigale would be feeling it. And if Sigale was feeling it, Taryn would be feeling it. And
True.
Taryn would have a hard time keeping that from Violet. So I really wasn't... where is he for sure? But I wasn't concerned for his safety because we would be alerted to that already at this point. So that's why I was like, yeah, sure, where is he? Where's Arik? Where has cool, he got the advance party. Talk to that boy first. He's here.
Right.
Xaden isn't.
So true. Chapter 63. Oh, baby. Imogen's POV. This.
Okay.
Now this was crazy.
Can I just say,
this.
I know, neither did I, but can I just say for the record too, before we get into this, I kind of hated this chapter for one reason. No, listen. For one reason and one reason only. I am so not on team Imogen being evil after this chapter.
Oh, yeah. So then that takes it out.
Mad. I'm mad because I liked that. I mean, I don't want her to, but I would have really enjoyed evil Imogen.
Right. It's so juicy.
There's still plenty of room for that to happen eventually, but after getting, because I think if she truly were evil, we would have, even if it was subtle, we would have picked up on some of that being in her mind. And there was zilch.
There was nothing. She was good.
She was so good. She just was trying to help. She even risks showing Dane her secret second signet in this chapter
to save him.
Yes. And so I'm just like, dang it, she's good. She's not.
She's good.
There goes that theory. And that's the only reason I didn't like this chapter, because it really threw a wrench in some of my plans. But everything else,
my plans. My perfect world has been skewed. Well, I just, like I said, I didn't care so much for Rhiannon's. I cared for this one.
I did too. This was
so
good.
Stoked to be in her mind. Okay, pan in. Bodhi's in trouble. Imogen and Glaine race to save him and cure. She's pissed because Bodhi doesn't seem to understand that he is so vital. If Xaden and Bodhi are gone, Tyrandor falls to whomever the king appoints, which that was interesting. I did not know that.
I didn't know that either, and I think we weren't supposed to know that, but
yeah.
I agree. I think Bodhi, knowing that now, Bodhi needs to get his act together a little bit more. I get it. He doesn't want it. This isn't what he chose. Well, guess what? Neither did Xaden. He didn't choose this for himself either. And you need to be thinking about Tyrandor, not yourself right now.
Right. And Imogen is the likely candidate that it would fall to is freaking Halden or King Tori. So my family did not die for a Navarian to sit on the throne. That's not what's going to happen. And it's so much bigger than Bodhi. He needs to.
It really is.
Figure it out.
Head out of it. Yes. And see the bigger picture.
Right. But then Imogen thinks to herself, and on that note, where is Xaden? And that's strike 3. They defeat the Wyvern. In fact, they defeat 18 Wyvern. And I'm like, holy moly, Imogen and Glade are a force.
I love that Glaine was like, 17. And Imogen's like, actually, that's 16. And she's like, it's 17.
Yeah.
I just like the
snarky bond. It was good.
The petty, back and forth of trying to calculate how many Wyvern she's killed.
Right. So Glade tells Imogen that the supply of armory brought was not sufficient and yada, yada, yada. This alludes to the fact that they're getting more now. And then it's clear that Felix now knows that Garrett can distance wield, and that's how they're getting the armory and all that. And Imogen is concerned that Garrett is approaching burnout.
Aren't we all? I said that in the last episode. Garrett has run literally across the world many
Yes.
a times at this point. The boy, I know they need it. They also need to think about like giving him some water and a juice, like, and a break. Like he
Perhaps
needs to
an
refresh.
Uncrustable. Yeah, honestly. Oh,
I was thinking, I was gonna
concerned.
say some bread, like
Some bread. Imogen
carbs.
actually relays a few times her concern for Garrick. And Glade is like, for someone who's so decisive, you have yet to act on that. What?
We've known since Fourth Wing that she's had a crush on Garrick.
Did we? I think I
Yes, we
forgot.
did.
I genuinely just think I forgot.
No, that
Melissa,
was.
can I tell you something?
Because no, here's why. Because remember, Violet was jealous of Imogen because she thought she liked Xaden, and then at one point it comes out, she goes, "No, I don't." And then she looks to Garrick, and then Violet like,
You're right.
Yeah,
I remember it.
That's why even her comment Glaine's comment made more sense. Because I mean, it's been like a year now in the span of the 3 books. And that we've known that she's had a crush on Garrick. I think Garrick knows that she has a crush on him. Like, I don't think it's even like that much of a secret, but
it was a secret to me. I was oblivious.
To Ellie and Ellie alone. There's even Ellie. I'm pretty sure even earlier in this book, there's been nods towards her.
I literally wrote this love match was not on my bingo card, and yet, I think it was on everyone's. The details escape me. I know. Suddenly, Glane shouts, "The tower!" And Imogen is consumed with worry for Quinn, who is still there. Okay, here's the sitch. Imogen notes that Quinn is the only person she truly loves on this battlefield, and I am going to be so honest with you. I did not know that they were that close.
Are you, Ellie? Were you reading these books?
Yes.
I did multiple times. They've been referred to, like, Imogen has said Quinn's her best friend, that she's like, I'll do it for no one else except for Quinn. Like, this has
Maybe I'm skipping past. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm doing. I'm so nose deep that I'm like, where's the next Easter egg?
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah. Friendship. Move on. And I think that's my, like, I need to look at the big picture and not so detailed.
That makes sense.
But
all that to say, it's not news to anyone else that had a crush on Garrick or that her and Quinn were best friends.
I know. I'm trying to figure out everything about Imogen, and yet I know nothing about Imogen. That's crazy.
Honestly,
work.
It makes sense that we thought she was evil if you didn't pick up on either of those facts.
She has no heart. Okay, 2 dark wielders are heading into the tower, and based on their stride, they knew exactly what was happening in the tower, which leads us as the readers to believe that yet again, someone within the ranks has told the Venin exactly what's going on in there.
100%.
Hate it. Dane catches up to Imogen, and they go in on the dark wielders, but just as Imogen jumps from Glane, fire erupts. And in a split-second decision, Imogen's like, "Get behind me!" And she holds open the door to her childhood home and floods her body with Glane's power. First of all, loved the imagery that, like, for Violet, it's a scribe door. For Imogen, it's her childhood door. I thought that was so good.
I did
well
too.
Done.
I love that. And
well
I
done,
love
Bex.
that it was... Well done, Bex. I love that it was... a nod to her childhood too, like, because we've gotten some details about marked ones, and like, we know that their parents were executed and stuff, but I don't, other than a little bit from Xaden and Liam, we really haven't gotten like a ton of their, like, this is how it made me feel, like, backstories. And so, like, this, it was so sweet and heartbreaking for that reason alone, but it also made me want to know more about Imogen's like, what was it like for Imogen during all of this? What was her life like before the first revolution or attempted revolution like happened? I want to know what her dynamics were like with her family. We learned in this chapter too, like, I'm pretty sure she had a sister or there was like an offhanded comment or something that, like,
you're right. Mm-hmm.
And I want to know that. I need to know more about that now. And I do think that Rebecca opened the door to that backstory now for either the next book or the book after that with this chapter. But I don't want to wait. I want to know it now.
I know. I'm the same. Instant grat. But also, do we dare wonder and hope that the secret book that Rebecca's working on now might be something along the lines of one of these characters' backstories, like prior to, like a prequel?
Well, it's funny that you even say that, because once again, in my reading on that interview that she did with the Empyrean World or whatever,
Give me the scoop.
they asked her specifically, are there any plans for prequels? And she said maybe, but then she said, I fear that those books would be too sad. So I think what she's working on are some contracts with like, she writes a lot of romance. I don't think what she's working on in the meantime has anything to do with the Empyrean series personally, because of that comment alone. But
interesting.
This is a nice segue into, I was going to say this, I was going to wait until we were done recapping this chapter, but I'm already talking about it, so I'm going to say it now. I do think it's interesting that we got a chapter from Imogen's POV, because one question that they also asked her was, who is your favorite character? And obviously her answer, she's like, obviously Violet. She goes, but her second favorite character is Imogen.
Ooh.
That is Rebecca's second favorite character in this series. This whole series is Imogen. And so... She's excited.
Actually also my second favorite as well. So I'm super pumped to see what she does.
Well, that's what I think she is going to play an, unfortunately, probably not an evil role, which is probably better at the end of the day. But I really liked the thought of her being evil. I'm going to have to let that one go, because I really, knowing that, don't foresee that being the case.
Well, wait till the end of this chapter, because I have a theory to drop on you that might get you super pumped about this again.
Ooh. All right, let's go.
Okay. Heat surrounds them as Imogen slams his shield into the ground and turns it into stone. Okay, Miss Imogen, two signets.
I'm, again, still on the train, and I know that I think that there's many of people that disagree, but I just... there's something about some of these Marvel ones. Yeah, there's too many that have second signets for it to not be a coincidence, and I'm
100% with you, because this is the third marked one. We have fourth, Liam, maybe?
Xaden, Liam, Garrick, and Imogen.
And so, Bodhi kind of like evaded the question. We couldn't figure it out with him.
Supposedly he doesn't have one, but there's no doubt in my mind that he's gonna have one eventually. No one can convince
if we remember.
Until the series is completed and done, and we find out that he does not have a second signet, I will not accept that as an answer.
He never said he didn't have one. He said, I'm like Xaden. And like that was kind of like it. So let's just remember.
Which,
he didn't exactly say no.
Okay, but to be fair, Xaden has a good excuse for his second signet. As far as we know, Rebecca did draw the line and said he will not have a third. So his second signet, the origin of it is different than whatever Liam,
the reason
Garrick,
for everybody else's
Imogen's are, or theirs is, but still, I don't know. I'll die on the hill. Next book, here's my predictions. Next book, we're gonna find out that Sloane, Bodhi, and right now it's just those two. They're gonna have second signets in the next book that we're gonna learn about.
Love it.
Maybe someone else, but for right now, those are the only two I'm thinking.
I do want to question this one, though, because what the heck is this signet? She can turn things into stone?
It's a, rock. I saw it somewhere. It's, rock manipulation. I can't remember what they named it.
It reminds me of Sky High. Do you remember that movie? Where that nerdy guy could, turn into the big, strong rock man?
Like the Thing, essentially, from Fantastic Four? Yes.
Exactly.
Except she doesn't turn into it. I think she can, manipulate rock or create rock. Is
super cool.
My understanding
Either way.
of it. Yeah.
So cool. So Dane's just yeah, we're gonna talk about this. Yeah. And then he runs off, and Imogen makes it to Quinn, who is projecting in front of the venom. She is so relieved, and as am I, because they're like, oh, it's not really her. She's probably miles away. Yeah. Until Imogen realizes that Quinn is trying to sneak up and take that dark wielder out. She's in the room.
Oh, I know.
Knives fly from Imogen, from Quinn, and from the venom. But lo and behold, only 2 knives land. One to kill the venom, and one into Quinn's heart. And I was like, oh my gosh. But
I know.
As devastating as it was, here comes my third hot take.
Okay.
I did cry. I was very sad.
This got me, I will say.
It got me. I crumpled reading about their first time reading or meeting and being like, we'll make it a good one. I was devastated. I seriously cried so much. But and you might be like this too. I wasn't attached to Quinn. Not to Riddick, not to Rhiannon.
Yeah.
Or even Imogen.
I agree.
We didn't have a relationship with her as readers, so I kind of felt like while this was sad, it was she's a very dispensable character, so it did not land as hard with me. What are your thoughts on that?
It was, for me, it was more sad because, like I mentioned earlier, like we got like the comment she made. She's like, "Well, I've talked to my mom, my parents, and my sister about you. Like they're gonna know exactly who you are. Like you'll be with them." Like I think the way it was written got to me, but it wasn't because it was a character that I was super connected to. So it was more about how well I think Rebecca wrote this moment of them together. And because this is one of the first and only times we've seen Imogen be super vulnerable.
Yeah.
That
no, I totally agree with that.
got me. But I really don't want to switch this too much. I did look it up though. It's rock wielding is
wielding.
The second signet. It was bothering me that I knew I had seen it somewhere, but I couldn't remember. So I just looked it up really quick. But
cool.
Yeah, it was it affected me more than some of the other scenes from this book, I will say, and more than I would have expected. But I chalk it up to the way it was written, not because I was attached to the character.
You're absolutely so right. And I actually really like the way you said that. I'm telling you, I cried and everything, but it totally was the way it was written that they called back these memories, but it would have been more impactful had we had those memories in Fourth Wing or Iron Flame to call back ourselves and be like, oh my gosh, we loved her. So that was interesting that Quinn was the choice that Rebecca made to kill off in this book, because
I almost think that it was because she wasn't someone that we were super connected with, but like we needed more depth. Like again, for me, this was more about Imogen than it was Quinn. Yeah. And this could be building up Imogen's character more than anything, and that makes a lot more sense for why she chose Quinn to die versus just someone that she didn't need, quote unquote, like in the rest of the story. That's what makes the most sense to me, because unless someone else resonated with her a lot more, we just haven't gotten a lot of Quinn in any, like, we've gotten mentions of her throughout the books, but like that's it.
Well, so Quinn has now passed, which was so sad. But Garrick comes in and he takes Quinn, Imogen, and himself to safety while the half-dozen Venin drain the city through the stone of the tower. And that was his last walk, though, for the night, because he is, as Melissa would say,
to burn out.
Bed Bath & Beyond done.
He is Bed Bath & Beyond done. That is exactly what I would say.
Imogen's
like, I literally can't. It's not there. It's gone. I'm going to walk like a peasant. I know.
I was like, water! Like, that's
water
what
would
I felt.
Be nice.
Like, I feel like I'm dying for him.
He is a dried out sponge from all the walking.
Oh my gosh. Imogen's last POV words to Ghislaine are, tell every rider within the walls to get over here and disarm. It's the only way we're living through this. So, fun thought here, and this is where I said we're going to get to this at the end. Have you ever wondered at all why we got Rhiannon and Imogen's POV in this book? Because it kind of seems really random. Have you come up with any thoughts?
Nope, just wondered.
Okay, just wondered. This comes from Thelma MCD on Instagram. She says, I definitely think Imogen and Rhea are part of the next 6, and that's why we got their POVs.
Oh, well, yeah, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're definitely stronger writers out of the group, so that would absolutely play into it.
I said if we think about it, they're both super powerful, but I'm not entirely convinced. Like, I think it makes sense because they're mentioned, they get their own chapters, but I'm not entirely convinced that Rhiannon is on that level yet. But Imogen's doubled down with me because she now has that second signet in addition to her very strong, like, memory erasing power. I feel like that's rare. Rhiannon object wielding, I'm not sure if I would be like, she's one of the most powerful. What do you think?
No, but I could totally see how that would be like a really useful signet to have. And I could see that being I could see her signet playing a big role in something. Plus, exactly like was mentioned, we got her POV in a chapter, and there's been a nod to her signet growing. Because like when she took that whatever out of the spike
claw
out of Tarn, then it was like, it was even said like, oh, I've never done anything. I've never been able to move anything that big before. So like she's getting more powerful. It's absolutely going to come back. So I would not be surprised and her leadership skills. Like, I do think that she would be a really big asset. Yeah. I personally don't or subscribe to her being a part of that. I almost wonder if, and here, this is a big but if Dane might be a part of that 6-2 because of the comment that was made, like, you shouldn't, like, one
absolutely
person
think he
shouldn't have
is.
that much power.
Yes.
Like, when Salone said that, that makes me wonder. I was never even thinking about the next 6, but now that that has been brought up, I'm trying to think of who that could be, and I wonder if he's a part of that too.
Who's our lineup right now then? Because I'm going to say Xaden when he's cured, Violet, Sloane, Dane, Rhiannon, Imogen. That's 6. Is that our lineup?
I don't think Sloane would be. I don't even actually know if I'm going to count Xaden in this 6.
Really?
Simply because I'm not sure if he's going to be cured in time, honestly. So I think it's going to be Violet.
Oh, it could be Lynx.
No.
Oh.
Does the Shadow Wielder have to be part of the 6? I can't remember.
They said in the Great Wars, a Shadow Wielder and Lightning Wielder have never, like, walked together since the Great Wars.
Yeah, but didn't say anything about them having to be part of the 6.
I don't know. I don't think so.
So here's my thing. I'm going to say Violet, Imogen and Rhi, Dane, and then I want to say Garrick and Auric.
Auric, yes.
I do think Auric is a part of it. But that's where I'm like, I think Garrick more so than Sloane. He's just a double signet first off, and then obviously, and like what distance wielding, absolutely. Like, yeah, I don't know. This is just like I had 30 seconds to think about it. Who do I think? That's my first thought.
That's your
about
gut reaction.
6.
Let us know what you guys think in the comments. I'm curious if we're missing something. I'm surely we're missing something.
I know we are.
We're always
that's what I'm
missing
saying.
something.
Without like really thinking about it, that's just like gut feeling. Maybe those 6.
All right. Well. Back to Violet. We are in chapter 64, but first the header. And I'm guessing that this was the note that was given to Auric with the package that he gave Violet. I'm not guessing anymore. I actually know for a fact it is. It says, a gift from one servant of Dune to another. I must warn you, only those touched by the gods should wield their wrath. And this hints big time to god power, in my opinion. Yeah. I will pray to her that she need not use it to avoid reacquainting herself with the other who curries her favor. Her path is still not set. Okay. So let's focus on the second half of that. And the way I read it was, I will pray to Dune that Violet need not use it to avoid reacquainting herself with the other who curries Dune's favor. Sometimes I love the ambiguity, but sometimes the overuse of she and her have just gotten me, like, I'm just been so frustrated because I'm like, I can't put it all together.
Yeah, my initial thought was Theophanie, but then I don't feel like Theophanie would still curry the favor of Dune at this point, so that's why I'm like, well, it can't, I don't think it could be her, but then if it's not Theophanie, I don't know who TF it would be then at that point. Because it's warning her about not wanting to have to essentially interact with this person, but it's saying that this person still curries the favor of Dune. So it's confusing.
And I that's my exact question. Who could be the other person? I have no ideas, but we'll lock it away for later.
Who is her?
Who is her? Who is she? Violet realizes that Theophanie used the tornado to get her and Taryn essentially to Theophanie. She pep talks herself, and if that isn't a lesson to us all, give yourself the pep talks that you need, divas.
Talk to yourself.
Anyways.
Violet has a stamp of approval.
Yes.
Divas.
Violet strikes with her lightning and misses. She tries again, but before she can send it again, a hailstone hits her conduit and shatters it. What
luck? And by luck, I mean none of it. Like, Zanal was not with her on this day.
Not today. But Violet knows just giving up is not an option, so she tries again and realizes Theophanie is killing the storm to make it harder for her to wield. She sees the sun. Here comes the sun. They give it everything they've got. I knew I had to pause. I know every time I start a song, you will finish it for me. I love that.
It's ADHD, baby.
That's a little thing I call the ADHD. They give it everything.
Actually, I'm so sorry. We have to continue with this. It is actually like legitimately a symptom. It's I don't think finishing a song or singing out loud is the official diagnosis, but that's what I'm calling it. Like, actually, like, I physically can't stop myself from singing a lyric when a phrase reminds me of it.
For me, it's finishing someone's sentence because I know where they're going and I just want to get them there faster.
But like in a helpful way.
In a helpful
not in a rude way.
But it never comes off helpful, and I have to constantly stop myself, constantly, and I'm the worst. So
Yeah.
if ever we meet and I'm like doing that to you, just
Finish each
I'm so
other's
sorry.
sandwiches. That's what I was gonna say.
That's exactly it.
There it is.
So, okay, they give it everything they've got, when all of a sudden, the two hear a roar of agony. Taryn yells, Sigale!
See, now
And-
I'm worried about Xaden.
True. But Melissa, I have something to say. I have a theory here.
Oh no.
I think that this is where their mating bond broke.
Shut your mouth.
I'm being so serious.
Why do you think their mating bond breaks?
We'll get into it at the very last chapter, but I just want it to be noted here is where I think their mating bond broke.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
is it? I think I know. Okay, keep going.
Okay, keep your
I think I
thoughts.
know
Bring
why,
them back up.
but
Bring them
I
back
will.
up. Taryn loses speed, and a net falls over them. Taryn must be in agony of pain if he's losing speed. Anyways,
In
Taryn and
agony
Violet
of pain.
in agony of pain. The words are failing me because I have to say so many today.
It's fine.
Taryn and Violet fall out of the sky, and Violet tells Taryn, "You have been the gift of my life," and that actually made me cry. It really did.
No,
Taryn
don't give
says-
up, Taryn. Don't do it.
I know. I was like, this cannot be the moment we see him. This cannot be it. I'll
No,
stop
simply,
reading here.
I refuse. I refuse
Yeah.
to accept it.
I will not live in this world. Taryn says it's not over, and they hit the ground where Violet's arms snap. Sorry, let me repeat that.
Oh.
Violet's arm snaps. Just the one.
But still, it was enough for me to get a little nauseous. I said this on our bonus episode. Again, I am highlighting back to that. I don't do bones. I don't, medical stuff, like, doesn't bother me. Truly, like, just about anything. But, like, if a joint or a limb is in a direction that it should not be, or saggy in any way, shape, or form, I'm out. I am outie.
I hear you.
That I can't even look at it without feeling nauseous. Like, I can't, that is like one of my biggest fears, is seeing someone's fingies or something be like in a unfavorable position. And
so Callie Torres's life path is not for you.
Callie Torres chose my hell as her profession. Yes. But so anytime she writes about, like, and that's why I have, like, a little bit of a hard time with this series, because anytime we talk about her joint subluxating or, like, her bones snapping, because it happens to Violet way more than I would prefer reading, like, and I'm sure way more than she would prefer, but it just, the way that this one was written, I, like, heard the snapping noise and I got a little queasy while reading.
She didn't even go into description. She just said it snapped, and I was like,
and so did I.
Yeah. Well, miraculously, the two live, and Violet's arm seems to just be the worst of it. Violet says, we have to get Sigale, and Taryn argues that Sigale can handle herself. Violet uses one of the runes that she brought to essentially turn the net that's over them into squish, and in that pivotal moment of ripping the net...
into squish. I wish that's how she wrote it.
I do too. Never leave me to write a book. In the pivotal moment of ripping the net, remembers Aric's package and is like, yeah, now's the time to open it. Which I'm like,
yeah,
girl.
that little thing that I got a while ago. Probably should check to see what that's about.
Damn, that is crazy work. It says, for when you lose yours, strike in the dark, Violet. And the package is a carved piece of gray marble, like a gray marble dagger with a familiar flame etching. Yes.
I'm not done talking about this yet. As a 28-year-old grown woman, as soon as I see my name on a present under the tree, I simply can't stop thinking about it. The fact that she was given a package, and I get it, there's a lot going on, but at the same time, I don't get it. I don't care if the world is burning. I'd be opening that right away. The fact that she's had that this whole time and forgot about it, and also that it didn't, like, somehow fall out of, like, wherever she was keeping it. A lot has happened in her journey since she received this. I don't understand and never will. I cannot compute.
Well, so she wonders how Arik would have known she'd lose her dagger. Then in comes Theophanie. She reveals that they took down Sigale and Xaden, and Violet is distraught, but hellbent on saving Taryn first and foremost. She distracts Theophanie by asking, do you miss Unbriel? And Theophanie sings like a canary through her eyes. She's like, What do you mean, Unreal? But only with her eyes.
I've never
Violet
even heard of
says-
this island that I was dedicated on.
Violet says, "Do you not yearn for the temple?" And Theophanie longs with her eyes. But then she throws it back. She asks Violet, "Do you?
Do you?
Or are you immune, having only been touched but not dedicated?" Now I'm more curious than ever. What does this mean? What's
She
this
was
mean?
touched by a god.
She says, "Do you know the pain of never being allowed to return? Of knowing it would never, or it would sever the very thing that's kept me untouchable all these years?" So I'm like, does this mean if Theophanie goes back, she'll lose her immortality?
100%. That's exactly what I gleaned from that.
Perfect. We're on the same page. We're reading the same book. I'm like, Violet, we figured it out. Slice a piece of the wyvern to use as your stool and drag
And go to the
Theophanie
temple.
back. Yeah.
To Umbriel.
Perfect.
Case closed. We've got
Case
this.
closed. Criminal Minds. We've done it. All right. So then I'm wondering, like, well, what allowed Theophanie to gain her immortality? Questions on questions on questions. And she says, "Why serve a god when you can be one?" But then Sigale roars and shadow spreads everywhere. Xaden's shadows, in fact. Shadows from channeling from the ground, not from Sigale's power. And
Well, to be fair, we didn't know that in this chapter.
no, we did, because she said,
Oh.
Violet was like, "This is not dragon power."
Oh, you know what? She might have said that, but I simply kept
Skipped over.
reading.
That's perfect. As did I.
I really
clearly.
just chalked it up to like, wow, again, just in the nick of time, Xaden, and like and I just chalked Sigale roaring up to her being in a net. Like that was
There we go.
logical explanations for missing
To
that
me,
one
it
little
makes sense.
comment.
Well, a fury of Onyx Storm spreads throughout the land. I love when an author puts the title into the book.
know.
I love it.
Jeff's kiss.
Jeff's kiss. The shadow throws Theophany and engulfs them all in darkness. Taryn yells for Violet to strike. And do we remember Aric's note? Strike in the dark? Because
we
Violet
do.
does. She puts
And
it
guess
together.
She-
And when I say I gasped reading this, as it turns out, Arik has been manifesting this whole time. He's a precog.
I just need to state for the record too,
Yeah.
I hated myself when I read this.
So excited
Because I'm like,
for you to read
Melissa,
this.
it was literally in your face
front of
the
you.
whole time. How stupid were you? This is one of the lows of my life. And unfortunately, I posted it on the
lows.
internet. I cannot escape the fact that I did not see this coming. And now that I've finished, and like we've gotten a couple comments on like YouTube videos and stuff of like, not Melissa not realizing he's precog. And I was like, I sure didn't. You're so right. Like, I cannot believe it. Now, seeing it right in front of me, all the evidence was there. But I was so blinded by rage that I didn't even account for the fact that maybe the boy's signet was manifesting.
So I had this theory, and I've hinted at this throughout our episodes without giving it away, obviously. But do we remember when Arik threw, I think it was Link's back because Xaden and the other professor like barreled through? And I was like, isn't that interesting that he like knew that was coming?
And remember when you said that, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just chalked it up to, he was like, it's a door. A door was moving. He was right there.
Swings.
I'm so dumb. Like,
no,
I was in my mind, I'm like, Ellie, your tin hat is a little too shiny. He just moved
too
it
tight.
back.
So I had this theory, and I was like,
you were so on the right track.
This is the one time my theory has ever been right in my entire life. I was so happy. But I do have to keep going with this theory now that we're finally here and I can finally speak on it.
And now I understand too why you think Melgren is Venom, because they would be the balance of each other.
That's exactly. I need to speak no more. That's exactly my theory. There has to be a balance. There's another precog.
Finish that sentence
it's
for
Melgren.
you, but
yeah, it's okay. So Violet lifts.
Sorry, I know that you said. I still don't know if. Well, okay, we'll just wait till the end. I have thoughts on that still too, but
okay.
Well, I'll wait.
So Violet lifts her arm to pull the most insane lightning you've ever seen in your life right out of the sky.
The not broken one.
The not broken. No, I think it was the broken one. I think she's like, I'm lifting.
No, you're so right.
It.
I'm pretty sure it was. I was joking when I said that, and I actually think you're right.
I think it is. But she's like right on the edge of burnout too. Everyone's on the edge of burnout. This is the most chaotic thing I've ever seen. And in the light of that power, she sees Theophanie scuttle back and smack into an invisible wall that is growling. And Darna, my baby girl,
I told
back.
you. I wasn't even sad for a minute. She used it back sooner than I even expected.
That is true.
Also, I still am fully on team. She never actually left.
There's actually a theory about that. I wish I could remember what it was.
Well, and that makes so much. It was me. That makes so much more sense for why she was still able to dream walk than Xaden being like, I don't know, probably because you manifested it already. You can just use Taryn's power. That doesn't even make sense.
No. Actually not on board with this. I think there's another reason for that, and I don't know what it is yet. I think she actually left. But do you remember in Darna, her like feathertail power, how it was slowing time?
Yeah.
There is a theory out there, I don't know where it came from, I just saw it randomly and it's stuck in the old noggin, that Irids, that's their like collective power in addition to whatever signet they can give or whatever, that they can control time. And Darna may have been gone for way longer than what we thought, but planted herself back at exactly the moment she needed to be here for Violet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like it, but I accept it.
I feel that. That's as good as it's going to get.
Yep.
Theophanie. Oh, also, not disappointed. Very happy that Darna was back, but a little disappointed that like longing and mourning didn't go on for at least a little bit, like next book. I don't know. It felt too soon, like you said.
See, that's what I'm saying. Again, it felt too soon. That's why I'm like, there's no shot she even was gone. She can't fly that fast or that long.
Yeah.
She was not gone long enough to actually have left with Leothin and then have come back. Like, there was not enough time. So, again, point in my favor for that she, maybe like physically left a little bit, but like never actually left the continent. Like, she was within distance the entire time.
If we take out the entire idea that they can control time, that girl never left. It took them so long to get to the Isles. There's no way they made it all the way to the end of them, to the scattered Isles or wherever the Irids are, and then back, and she had it doesn't make sense that she left.
Exactly.
So I'm with you on that, if time is not in their favor.
Well, and that's just a theory, too, that Irids can control time, because it's been multiple times, like they said, like her feather tail power. That doesn't necessarily mean that they can still do it after. We have seen no evidence that she's been able to do it since she had the dreamless sleep. So
Theophanie whispers Irid in reverence, and the word reverence stuck out to me.
It does.
Because once again, what is it with the Venin and the Irids? They hold them in high regard. I'm very curious what's happening.
Yeah.
Theophanie strains towards Darna, and it's in that moment that Violet drives the dagger from Dune into her heart. And she's like, stone doesn't kill Venin, you silly, silly girl. But Violet lets Theophanie know that she was never just Venin, and Dune is wrathful to those who turn their backs on her. Then Theophanie desiccates, which I picture as like a Thanos snaps and she turns to dust moment.
Exactly how I pictured it too. Just ashes blowing in the wind.
Ashes
that
away.
She created.
Silver ashes. Yes. Then Violet releases the bolt and collapses into the burnout and just passes right out. Chapter 65. The long-awaited Xaden POV. It's here. It's here, people.
I don't want it.
We find out where he's been. Everyone is asking where is Xaden. Turns out Xaden was summoned by force by the sage, and in addition, they have wounded and ensnared Sigale, caught in a net. We find out that Panchek is a traitor, though we don't know why, and I assume it's because he turned...
so random to me.
It was so random. So we find out that Panchek is a traitor, though we don't know why. And I was assuming at this point that he's also turned Venin, and I'm just going to say real quick, I have seen so many comments that they thought that the other brother was Panchek, and it was very clearly said here, and people were confused. Like, let me just tell you, if you're confused, you are not alone. This was a very confusing chapter, but I think we broke it down to where it'll help.
Well, and I also think it was confusing on purpose. I think it's supposed to kind of leave us in suspense, like who is the other brother, because I still honestly don't. And maybe Ellie, you're about to change my mind, but like based on I've been wanting to go back and read it again because I still was kind of like I don't know. Like, I don't really feel like I know a solidly, like, 100% who I think the other.
I've got you.
Incredible.
You will be 100% on board by the end of this. I'm certain of it.
Well, the fact that you say that makes me just want to double down, and even if you convince me, say
no,
I'm not sure.
Well,
but that's a me problem.
I think it was really confusing at first, though, because Panchek is known as the traitor from Xaden right away, and then it's like, did he turn venom or did he hand information over? But Xaden is more focused on Berwyn at this point. He's real. He's alive. This is the first time we're actually, because I forgot. I was like, I thought we knew he was alive. No, he was just in the dreams. Now he's truly alive. And Xaden can't kill him.
That we didn't get more answers on that.
So true. Xaden can't kill him because of the bond. He mentions that Berwyn now has another sibling that he can use against Xaden as well. And I kind of was like, okay, so maybe that's Panchek. Maybe the siblings are also in rank. So like a sage can have a sibling, and an ASIM can have a sibling, and an initiate can have a sibling, but they're not all brothers together. That's how I kind of figured that. But Xaden says, I glance past Berwyn, past Sigil, and the Venom to my new brother. And he specifically says he like turns his head away from Panchek at this point. So new brother is not Panchek. We are sure of that. So if Panchek is Venom, there's still another new brother.
Well, okay, I guess also let me clarify. I never once got the impression that Panchek was the brother after reading this chapter. I guess is what I was trying to also say,
I just saw a lot of comments that said
I'm sure.
It's so clear to me that it's Panchek. And I was like, that was not clear to me. So Xaden glances to his new brother and the unconscious dragon lying in the valley beyond the canyon. And he thinks, how could he do this? Choose this after watching me stumble and fall over the last 5 months. He's the last person I expected to turn, and yet here we are. So, like we just said, this is one of the 2 big cliffhangers at the end of this book. Who is this brother? What are your first thoughts? I just have to know. Did you have any thoughts at all on who this could be?
I could not get past thinking it was Garrick. That was the only person I could think, but I'm just like and on one hand I'm like, I guess that kind of made sense because we saw him literally burn out. He was like, I can't, I'm done. But if he still wanted to help, the only way he would have been to channel from the earth. So I'm like, I saw that, but I don't know. My other thought that I just had now is Bodhi. Because with that, why else would Xaden be so upset?
All right, so let me feed that thought.
Okay.
So for me, and this is after careful consideration in the following pillars, Rebecca says in her interview, pay attention to who's missing at the end. Like whatever they have been given is not enough. Partnered with Xaden saying, why would he choose to do this after watching me stumble and like fall over the last 5 months? Meaning it had to have been someone who knew that Xaden was Venom from the beginning. I feel like I'm playing Guess Who, like that board game.
Yes.
And like putting my characters down with each hint. And the 2 remaining for me are exactly what you said. It's Garrick and Bodhi, but my full money is on Bodhi. And I know a lot of people think it could be Arik and that the fact that he saw him over the past 5 months with the precog, but I think Xaden might not know that yet. So I kind of feel like Arik is out for me.
Well, and I don't think Xaden would care that much if I mean, I think he'd care because he's like, why would someone do that?
It felt more relational.
Plus, Arik, we don't know when he officially started manifesting. We just know that he's been manifesting this point. As far as like we know the subtle hints of him knowing things, I think the very earliest we got hints, and I'd have to, now knowing this, honestly, I'd have to go back and reread to confirm, but I think it was when they were on the Isle of Umbriel and he's saying all those like things.
Yeah.
But I don't even think being precog would give you the ability to speak other languages. That feels like something that he would have just known from being a prince. Yeah, exactly. But regardless, I would say that is the earliest I would think. And that, I don't think that was 5 months ago. I don't think Arik knew at like when it first happened. I think, yes, he was brought into the fold, but I don't think it was until later.
I have made subtle hints throughout this deep dive series when Bodhi does things like sarcastically says, oh, well, it's good to feel needed. And that was on page 39 of this book. So there's a lot of hints that he drops that he's just not really needed. He's not a necessity to this team. Or the last episode when we talked about him wanting Violet, exactly what you said. He feels useless because his signet doesn't work against the Venom, and he doesn't really care about being heir to Tyrandor. He doesn't want to be forced into it. But there's also the scene during Imogen's POV where his hands are on the ground and she thinks that he's throwing up. Could that be him channeling?
Oh, shoot. I totally forgot about that. Because, like, why else would that be in there?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
why else would...
Unless it's to throw us off.
I guess, but that feels so random to include if it wasn't, oh, shoot, he wasn't actually throwing up. Like...
Now, people also speculate that Bodhi may have even channeled earlier than we're suspecting than this moment, because this theory, again, comes from Anna Dot, and she says, remember how Xaden's shadows fly southward instead of attacking Theophanie? Remember that scene? Yes. Xaden sends out the shadows and they fly southward. Seems like he can't attack her, perhaps because initiates can't attack mavens. And it's funny that when immediately, like after this, Bodhi can't counter her signet, as if it's the exact same thing to what's happening to him. And he already channeled at this point and turned Venom.
That makes sense.
And it could also be something a little more noble than that, because Taylor Doran on Instagram says, what if Bodhi, who's realized he's basically helpless in this war now, turned Venom to be able to counter the Venom signets? On that side.
Oh. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, actually, you're right. I fully 100% am team Bodhi is the brother. You got me. Honestly, what sold me the most though was the comment. I totally forgot about that part of in Imogen's POV where she saw him throwing up. That to me is what was the nail in the coffin for that one. But I also think, and this is probably petty and probably not even a real part of the reason why it is him, like why he did it. But I really think that, like, okay, so he's watched Violet stand by Xaden this whole time, still love him and all this. And so he was like, well, if she loves him, maybe she'd still love me if I'm Venom. Like, I'm wondering. I think that's a
damning move.
Loose thought, like, but I don't know. It's there. Even if it's not part of Rebecca's like big plan, it would work. Like,
oh my gosh, it would work. So, okay, let's finish this book. Xaden knows he needs to channel in order to save everyone. Panchek screams, "This is not what we agreed to," while he stumbles back towards his dragon, who is also netted. Xaden is sure that Panchek was selling information to the enemy now, and he decides that he dies. Berwyn replies, "Did you not ask for power? Have I not provided?" and moves in with daggers. Panchek, though, he calls his bluff and he says to him, "I'm the only one who can give you access to your son." What the?
Did I miss this? Did I not see what?
Yeah. Who's his son?
Wait, pause. Rewind. Who says that again to Xaden? Berwyn?
No, not to Xaden. Panchek says it to Berwyn, saying, "I'm the only one who can give you access to your son."
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What? I think, honestly, I was so over Panchek at this point, I just tuned him out.
Whatever you say has no effect on me. Goodbye. So, who is his son? Berwyn says, "I have another." Who is your other son? What's happening? Are these Venom sons? Are these actual sons?
Okay, so I'm honestly, now that we're talking about it, I'm almost wondering if it's in the same way it's Xaden's brother, it's his son.
Like Venom brothers. But then why would Panchek only have access to them? I really think they're real sons, biological children.
What if, hear me out, I have zero, this is just crazy town, I'm throwing things at the wall. Okay. What if Neolin is the son? I don't want it. But what if, and I don't know how Panchek would be the only one to have access to him, but like maybe he turned, but it was like a Xaden situation where he's like, but I don't want to. So he's like refused to channel again. So he's not full initiate yet or ASM yet, but somehow Panchek came across him, has been like keeping him alive all these years. I don't know. It feels loose. I don't like it, but I just felt like it needed to be said. I don't know.
I hate it.
I hate it too.
But But I like the initiative you're taking.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I just want recognition. That's all I want.
No, yeah, that's good. That's
kidding.
good. Okay, well, so Panchek is like, no, I'm the only one who could do this, and Baron's like, no, I have another son. Or maybe he didn't mean another son. Maybe he said I have another like point of access to my son. Who's to say? This writing's crazy. Then he stabs Panchek's dragon, who also desiccates, turns into dust before their very eyes. He killed him with a dagger. What is this?
Ooh. I wonder if the green tip, the poison daggers affect dragons differently than they affect people.
Maybe.
Because as far as I know, Violet, so far in this story, as far as I can remember, Violet's the only one that's been stabbed with a poison tip dagger from a venom. Yeah. And so we don't know. I would assume that it would affect people more than dragons, but I guess maybe there's something in it that doesn't. Or maybe it just didn't affect Violet as much because of the connection now we know with Dune. I don't know.
Yeah, could be anything. Literally anything.
Yeah.
Berwyn moves to do the same to Sigale, and Xaden becomes darkness. And it's interesting because he says here, maybe it's good I can't feel a single damn thing.
See?
Does that mean, to me, I'm like, does that mean right now or the entirety of this book you couldn't feel a thing and you were holding on to the, like,
that's what
memory of the emotion? You think he couldn't feel anything this book?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. So the shadows Xaden wields knock the venom unconscious. He says his soul departs like pieces of ash from a fire. And I said we'll come back to this. I actually think I just want to touch on this now. There's a theory out there that the ring that Violet gets in the end has Xaden's soul in it. Mm-hmm.
How would it have gone into the... Well, so here's the only thing, I guess, if he had the ring with him, how would it have gone... What magic in the stone would have caused the soul to go from there instead of... I guess it's also hard, like, where do venom souls go? We don't know, because I would assume it would go to Malik, but I don't think that's the case based on comments that have been made, like Violet saying, I'm gonna meet Malik with my soul intact.
Right.
So, but I don't know, like, I'm wondering what
you
kind
want to know.
Yeah.
You want to know what I think? Yeah. I'm wondering if he cashed in his favor with Dune and asked her to put it in the ring for him.
Oh, shoot. That would make sense.
Could be anything, though.
I buy it.
Could not be in there. We don't know. Well, maybe not with the emotions like I was suggesting earlier, because he seems to still have some for Violet as he becomes his shadows and rushes over everyone and everything, holding on to only the emotion of love that he has for Violet as he passes over her. So I'm thinking he's still feeling it. Maybe it's just turning off as we speak. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I like the idea, though, that he was like, not faking it, but just like trying to have them. And that's what I think.
He's holding on to the memory and trying to feel that the whole time. That's what I was saying. Not that he like was pretending, but like in a way pretending, but like really doing his darndest to feel it.
We're on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think.
I would like that more. I feel like that's so much more dramatic in this scenario.
And honestly, dare I say, romantic.
Romantic? He walks up to Sigale and asks, will you forsake me now? And she says, what is there left of you to forsake? As he is no longer an initiate. He is full ASIM. And Xaden says, you tell me. And Sigale says, you cannot mean to. And then gets cut off because Xaden argues that Violet loves him, and Sigale argues that Taryn does not. And Xaden is like, I assure you, Violet will help. She promised. So I'm going to drop a bomb on you. Are you ready?
This is the mate thing?
This is not the mate thing. This is a bigger bomb on you.
Geez. Okay.
I had someone write in here, and I actually think I'm leaning towards the theory that Violet becomes Venom in the end. And I can't believe I'm saying that I'm leaning into this theory, but I am because of how this was written. So we'll do the next chapter, but keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
And if that's the case, this conversation that he's having with Sigale, it could align to the idea of like them getting married, like the surprise wedding, but it also could align to the fact that he is going to ask Violet to channel. And remember that Theophanie said, you're going to be Venom in a few moments. I've already seen it. Like I know for a fact.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's crazy, but we also know Rebecca to
Wait, you mean
have
the
double
end
meanings?
of this book?
This book.
Oh, I thought you meant the end of like the story. Ooh, okay.
No, right now. Right
Do
now,
pray
baby.
tell. Let's get into it.
I will. So this chapter ends with Xaden saying, her decision will determine our fate. Now we're in chapter 66. So this is so bittersweet, guys. This is our last deep dive chapter.
Oh, I actually think I know. Oh, I just had a thought and I hate it, but I need you to continue.
Okay. We really, I'm actually going to do a little tidbit first. We really hope you guys all had fun with us because it's been a blast on our side to talk theories with you and to put on our tinfoil hats and scream and laugh and cry. And it's just truly been Jeff's kiss. So thank you all for being here. I hope you'll stick around for our next deep dive, our hot gosses, our bonus episodes, all that. We're just having so much fun. So thanks for being here. Okay. We've got Violet's POV to end this Onyx Storm book. Violet wakes up in a gravel courtyard to Brennan shouting her name and sounds of celebration. Imogen is in the room, or like in the courtyard with her, and Violet is groggy. Then she hears Andarna vow, "I will not let them burn you." Something a dragon might promise someone that she doesn't want to be burned because she's venom.
Yeah,
she
is something one might promise.
She is so discombobulated and confused. It's 3 a.m, and she cannot remember how she got here, where she's been. And Brennan asks for a report from an officer nearby, and it's as follows. 4 riders, their dragons, along with 3 elders, are dead. The elders, people are assuming, are elder dragons, and people also are assuming that that's Kodak and that Taryn might be. I don't want to get into that. We'll get into that in the Onyx Storm theories episode, but not right now. So 4 riders are missing, and the tally is 6 missing eggs from the hatching ground. Oh my. Violet reaches for Taryn.
4 riders are missing or are dead?
4 riders are missing.
Okay, sorry. I thought you said they were dead.
Originally was 5, but Violet is now back, so now it is 4.
Yes. Okay.
No, the 4 riders and their dragons with 3 elder dragons are dead. So that is a fact. But then 4 others are missing.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Violet reaches for Taryn, but the bond feels foggy, like he's asleep. And Andarna says he needs a cycle of rest to recover. Violet says recover from what? And that was very intentional because, again, I think that the mating bond broke here. Because
do you think it's because Xaden went full ASIM?
I think it's Xaden went ASIM. I think it might be because Violet turned Venom, but I also think Sigil and Taryn cannot possibly now maintain a way to stay together and to see each other regularly if Xaden's ASIM, so they had to break it. There was no other way around that at this point if they wanted to stay with their riders. It's clear from the officer's report that everyone blames Xaden for those who are dead. They know he's full bad now, and he's shot up on their most wanted list. Among the missing is Garrick, which could veto everything I said about Bodhi, but because of this following reason, I think that he is not the new brother. I think that the reason he's missing is because he's the one who took the eggs. And he took them to some isle in desperation for an alliance and then burnt out so bad that he just couldn't make the trip back.
The only reason I don't think that is because, well, there's 2 reasons. One, Garrick hasn't shown any, initiative like that so far. Everything he's done has been, what has been requested of him or, required of him.
Exactly.
And also, he was already burnt out.
Yeah.
He said he was done. So unless he channeled, he couldn't have gone to the Isles, let alone with 6 eggs.
I feel you on the burnt out part, but I also feel you deeply on the he mostly just does what he's asked. What if someone with precog asked him and said, "This is the only way. You have to trust me." And he wasn't necessarily so burnt out. He had just enough juice left to do it.
I guess.
And then burnt out, and that's why he's not back. Yeah. I mean, maybe he's just missing.
I don't think he's the brother. I agree. I feel like this is a red herring as far as to make us maybe even think that. But I also, I don't know. I don't know what I think. I don't know what I think or where I think he is.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't be surprised if he just passed out somewhere and they haven't found him. I that feels like a very likely scenario to me too.
I also think though, where could someone have taken the eggs that people wouldn't find them? It would have to be someone who could walk far enough to take them far enough away
unless
that
the
dragons couldn't. That's true. Well, book 4 is where we'll find that information out. Hopefully.
Good Lord.
So then Brennan pulls a paper out of Violet's pocket, a sealed letter from Dune. It's an official blessing of her legal binding marriage. And she asks, is it to Xaden? And Brennan says yes. And this is the reason that I'm not on board. Everybody's been sending me this. Everybody and their moms have been sending me this theory that I think Bodhi might actually be the one who's married to Violet because it never specifically says it's Xaden, and that's the way they're going to save Tyrandor. But right here it says Xaden, so I'm not on board. Sorry. Yeah. Violet is like, okay, well, I would not forget something like that. So where is he? What happened? What's going on? When Brennan hands her back the paper, on the back is 2 sentences, and it says, don't look for me. It's yours now. And we can only assume he means Tyrandor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I thought.
Yeah. Then Violet is like, it's like someone messed with my... And then it clicks. And Imogen has erased her memories. This is the first time we've officially seen this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Violet says, what did you do? And Imogen says, what you asked me to. And that's the end.
I remember that line, and I was like, oh shoot, she might be Venom because Violet would have wanted her to not remember that.
I'm dying inside.
Yes.
Rebecca, please, just surprise us. Just be like, never mind. I am dropping the 4th book. It's tomorrow.
But like, just kidding. It's actually already written and it's in production. Just wait a couple more months, baby girls.
Onyx Storm was so good. It was such a good book.
So here's my thing. It was so good, but I'm actually, now that I'm done with it, I'm annoyed because I don't feel like we got nearly enough information that I wanted to in this book.
A lot of people are on that track too.
And I'm allowing time and space for us to get them in the next couple books. I'm not like writing the series off. I just am so disappointed. I wanted to know more about Venom, and I really don't feel like I've learned much at all other than that they can wield and that they like have they can like pick, I don't know, you know what I mean, like how she could have picked her sage, like the person, like okay, yeah, and then they like kind of train them. But like really, other than that, I don't feel like we learned a ton, and I was really disappointed with that because it's hard to theorize what's going to happen next without knowing information.
Yeah, you're so right. I think a lot of people are on that same mindset with you because I've seen the main kickback for this book is that they're really, and this is crazy for me who's a plot girl, I really read this for vibes. Every chapter to me was so enthralling that I don't really care. I loved it. But a lot of people are like, there was no plot. We are exactly where we started. We don't know anything about, like, we know that there are more Irids, but we kind of assumed as much. We don't know anything more about the Venom. Nothing really happened more with, like, Violet and Xaden, except there's no cure. He turned full Venom, but we kind of already thought maybe that's what he was in the beginning of, or the end of Iron Flame.
We didn't know so, like, at the end of Iron Flame. Exactly.
Yeah. So they're like, but nothing really, like, happened. There was no further plot to this.
I agree. But that's, so barring how the next 2 books go, I understand that generally speaking, you in a series you're gonna always need a book like this. Like you need, for like in Throne of Glass, this was Tower of Dawn was this for me. Like you're gonna need a book that it just kind of moves the story forward without giving you a ton of information. Even though, don't come at me, I know Tower of Dawn gave us information. I'm just saying, like that was the equivalent of this as far as like I don't feel like anything happened. Yeah. Like in the same way that it did in the other books. But again, that's assuming that the next 2 books are jam-packed. Because if they aren't, then I think I might be disappointed. But I'm not going to say that yet. I did really enjoy this book. It was good. It just didn't.
Liked it for maybe the vibes. Yeah. It was so fun to read. I just felt like every single chapter, it wasn't a filler chapter. Every single chapter had something happening. And then I think when I took a step back and looked at the book as a whole, I was like, oh, maybe this was more of a filler book because
that's what
there was no plot progression. But it was still so fun. It was so fun to read. Absolutely. I genuinely, truly, truly enjoyed it. I would still give it 5 stars because I did not have a bad time reading this. I loved learning more about the characters, learning more about like the dragons. I liked it. I had a good time.
I agree. I definitely enjoyed it. I don't know if I'd give it 5. I think maybe 4.5 stars. But like I did. I had a great time reading it. I don't regret reading it. I like very much was like gasping and crying like at different points. Like it was still a very well written book. Yeah. But out of this series, out of 3, it's my 3rd favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it's my first favorite. I don't know
No.
why it
Fourth Wing
resonated
is still
so
my
much
favorite.
with me.
Fourth Wing is still my favorite. And then Iron Flame annoyed me the first time I read it because of all the miscommunication. But on principle, I like Iron Flame more because we learned more. Like, we just got like more of the plot in Iron Flame.
Yeah.
And like this one, again, exactly like we said, I had a great time reading it. I enjoyed it, but nothing happened. And I was very irritated by the end that I don't feel like we really learned much out of the 500 pages that we just read.
Yeah. Yeah. That can be tricky. But let us know what you guys think, because lots of opinions, and it's okay that they're not all the same.
Yeah.
You can still have fun reading a book. You can still enjoy it for just the vibe. Just the vibes. Vibes only.
And I just want to be very clear that I am just a girl. Those are my thoughts. And I loved the book. I'm not saying I didn't, but I'm allowed to say that I was irritated by the end because how much information we got in Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, I just expected that level of plot in this one, and we didn't get it, which is okay because it's an unfinished series. But if this were the last book, I would be so disappointed. Like, you know, like, and that's how I'm gauging how I feel about the book. It's I am leaving room for whatever's going to happen next because I know it's unfinished. Holding space, if you will. But because I have to view it as like, okay, at the end of this book, let's pretend this is a finalized series. If this were it, I would be pissed with how good the first two were compared to this one.
I do love Easter eggs, though. I mean, I really love like deep diving for Easter eggs and what is this and what could this be, and these are my theories, even if it amounts to nothing, even if like Rebecca never writes on these things. It's just fun to like join with the community and be like, yeah, I wonder if it's this, and they're like, you're absolutely crazy, and I'm thinking I'm absolutely crazy and I'm dreaming about it, but it's a blast. I have so much fun. Okay, now comes the time to announce our next deep dive.
Oh yes, drum roll please.
Yes, so I do have to tell everybody we are taking a break next week because we're tired.
It's a lot.
Just let us 1 week. And then we'll be back with all of our theories, the theories we couldn't fit into this episode, the theories that we want to draw back from the other books, all of that. We're going to invite our friend Taylor, who's a theory mastermind. Then, drum roll, please. Quicksilver, everybody, by Callie Hart.
Yes. We're very excited. I have a lot of thoughts on this book, so I'm excited to deep dive into it and share with everyone on the internet.
I can't wait. On the internet. It's going to be so great.
So good.
Yeah, that's all we've got. Make sure you guys like, comment, leave a review on Apple, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.